want to share a quote from a prominent politician who talked about endless deficits and said that they would, quote, weigh the country down like an anchor, and that we are on the verge of a debt crisis. Do you know who said that? It was Speaker Paul Ryan. In 2013, he was commenting on the Obama administration in the midst of the fourth straight year of reducing the federal deficit as a percentage of GDP. In reality, how much have deficits and the debt exploded due to the Republican tax law?
Deficits have certainly worsened in the first 2 years, but over 10 years, we believe that deficits will improve, and that as a result of the tax cut in the overall economic program.
You believe that deficits will improve? It's interesting because the OMB has consistently revised up its estimates since the tax law was passed for how big the deficits will be. Is that true?
Our economic program over the life of 10 years.
Mr. Vogt, is that true that you have revised up your deficit estimates since the tax law was passed?
Our estimates have been revised to account for the fact that the tax cut in the short term has led to
so they've been revised up, is that correct?
In the short term, but not
yes, they've been revised up.
But not over the long term.
So 1.9 trillion is the estimate that we have over 10 years. That's the estimate that you've produced. I'm just curious, how many of Mr. Trump's $8.6 billion walls could he build with $1.9 trillion?
I haven't done the math on that, sir.
It's more than 220. 220, not 220 miles, 220 of his full walls. Now, just to compare that to some Democratic priorities, what do you think $1.9 trillion would do for education funding in the United States? Would that make a difference in our kids' lives?
We believe this budget fully funds what is necessary to continue to educate our children. We have $50 billion.
So that we can continue falling behind South Korea, China, other competitors around the world in our education standards? Is that what you would like to continue,
Mr. Vogt? One of the reasons
why
we are putting forward a different type of proposal. We have $50 billion in school choice tax credits that can be done at both the public level or at the private level. It's a paradigm shift that we think is important. We don't think that.
But $1.9 trillion devoted to education, that wouldn't be important.
We believe that we need to fund the education programs that work, that are efficient, that lead to student outcomes that are beneficial. And we also think it's important to look at different ways to be able to invest in our children. We do not believe that a dollar spent necessarily equates with a dollar.
Oh, I agree with you, Mr. Vogt. There's no debate there.
But it's a matter of who's doing the spending. Our view is that parents and families, states and localities can often do a better job of educating our
Sometimes
children.
They can, but $1.9 trillion wouldn't help.
We believe we are fully funding what's necessary to educate our children.
Okay, so that's all. It wouldn't help. How many years did President Trump claim it would take to eliminate the national debt under his program?
The President made a commitment to the American people to get our fiscal house in
order. How many years did he say?
Conversation.
Do you know how many years? You worked for him, Mr. Vogt. How many years did he say?
He said he would work on getting a fiscal plan within 8 years.
8 years, right. 8 years, 2017 to 2024. How high does the CBO project the budget deficit to be in 2024 at the end of those 8 years?
We will still be looking at trillion-dollar deficits.
Over $1 trillion. Over $1 trillion, surpassing the federal deficit during President Obama's last year in office by nearly $500 billion. I want to jump quickly to veterans. The budget quotes President Trump's statement that, quote, it is our moral and solemn obligation to demonstrate to our veterans our continuing gratitude, unwavering support, and meaningful encouragement. Mr. Vogt, how is cutting veterans' disability benefits by rounding down cost of living increases consistent with this statement? Should we be making veterans pay for exploding deficits by denying them the full cost of living adjustments?
Sir, this budget has incredibly high increases for veteran spending. We have an 8%.
And why are you decreasing the cost of? Do you think the cost of living in the United States is going down for veterans?
We have an 8% increase for veteran spending. I'm
just asking why you're decreasing cost of living adjustments.
We do look for ways to improve programs to ensure that veterans programs over 10 years.
So it will improve lives for veterans by decreasing their cost of living adjustment? That's what you're saying, Mr. Vogt?
Proposals that have been proposed in the past, and we don't think they'll have any adverse impact on veterans.
No adverse impact. No adverse impact to decrease cost of living adjustments.
That's correct.
I think you should speak to some veterans, Mr. Vogt. Thank you.
Gentleman's time has expired and now recognize